Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, political fighters, and welcome to the July 29th, 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is the number. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com. I got caught up on some emails, Henry. Follow me on all the socials under Choose Views, and catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, the great Patty Vasquez, Driving It Home, It's the Democracy, Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other great shows and interviews. And by all means, make sure in the evenings you are checking out the Politics Bar, the Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show. So over at Heartland Signal, a couple of quick ones you guys want to check out. Minnesota, there we go. Move that over here. Minnesota Democratic Senate candidate Peggy Flanagan was asked if she would ever vote for more funding for the Iran war. She says there has to be a plan. Andy Craig says there's no circumstances where she would vote for more Iran war funding. So check out that the clip that we have there, talking to Peggy Flanagan and calling out both Peggy and Angie, calling each other out. So there you go. That's probably the best way of putting it. Giving them each a fair shot to talk about why they think they would be the better candidate for that Senate seat. As I said yesterday, Henry, talking about what's happening in Michigan with Dr. Saeed and Haley Stevens or Tallarico down. We just got to win seats. That's it. It's that simple. So make your way over to Heartland Signal. Check out what we've got there for you. And like and share, as we always say. On today's show, great interview with Anna Gomez, who's a commissioner of the Federal Communications Commission. She's the only Democratic commissioner of the commission. So you'll want to check out that segment that will come to you in the 6:30 hour. And then at 7 o'clock, our good friend Kurt Mullett will be hanging out with us for a bit. And he and I'll probably yuck it up, and we'll throw out some fun stuff for you guys. And as always, Kurt's got some great things on his Substack. And then in the 7:30 hour, Colette Delawalla will be with us again. Looking forward to talking with Colette. She's the founder and CEO of Stand Up for Science, which leads me to a couple things that we're going to cover before we go, after we come back from the first break, regarding science and what this administration is doing. Today and tomorrow, we're going to really get into how this administration is leaning in hard to take away the power and the strength of some of our federal agencies and some of our federal programs. So we'll get to that today and again tomorrow on another topic that we're going to cover and something to chew on. Today's question of the day, and Kurt and I will probably talk a little bit about this as well, but with the 5-point lead that James Tallarico has opened up in the race in Texas. He opens up his biggest lead ever in Texas, the Texas Senate poll. But with this 5-point lead that James Tallarico has opened up in Texas, do you think his lead will grow? Will it stay the same, or will it drop off in the weeks to come? We're coming, we're starting to enter that, in 45 days from now, when we're getting into that push for the next 45 days or so to the actual midterm elections. So it's a time where we start to take or make assessments as to what's going to actually happen, how it will happen. So I'm curious what you guys think. With his 5-point lead, the 5-point lead that Tallarico has opened up, do you think it will grow? Will it stay the same, or will it drop off? So give us a call and let us know at 773-763-9278. You can text us your thoughts, and most definitely go to our Facebook page and leave your thoughts and comments there, because I'm curious what you guys have to say. And you be your own little pollster and assessor of the of that very important Senate race down in Texas. So that's what's happening here on today's show. But I wanted to kind of circle back to this. We'll get into this more in a little bit in terms of science, but some other changes are taking place when it comes to Medicare, which we'll probably talk about that a little bit tomorrow, because I want to pull a little bit more data and do a little bit more research to have some information on what they're trying to sneak through, trying to slide through. And I think that many of us have said this, and I certainly have said it here, but many others have said it in other venues, that the distraction sometimes, you have to, it's unfortunate that we have to do this, paying attention to a lot of things, but that's what's part of the game right now. I've said this before, others have said it as well, that the distraction is one of the tools. All the craziness, all the nonsensical things that are going on are the tools that they want to use to get us to look away from the things that are really, snatching out of our pocket. And what's going on with science, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, what's going on with Medicare, those are things that we need to be paying attention to. And there's so many others. But I guess the real point I want to make here is distractions. Pay attention, stay involved, stay plugged in. I know that sometimes you got to, disconnect. We all have to do that. But stay ready for the fight. And I got to play this clip again, Henrietta, if you can pull it up. The clip yesterday that we played of Rashida Tlaib talking, because this is gonna be in somewhat part of what I'm going to talk about in Russell Vault. Yeah, play that clip again.
Who do you work for, Director?
President of the United States.
No, you work for the people of the United States. You take an oath to the people of this country. You should be fired because you work for the people, not the president. None of us work for the president. Why do you think the agency was created? Because of the president? Congress created the agency because of the awful financial distress that had happened on our American people. You can blink your eyes all you want. Last year, Americans lost roughly $16 billion to fraud. 25% increase from 2024 on your watch. The highest level on record on your watch. In fact, CFPB has received more consumer complaints in 14 months than in the first 14 years of its existence. Your watch. In May, CFPB deleted more than 2,000 pages from its website. These include consumer advisories, blog posts. You didn't do it?
Nope.
You didn't do it? Nope.
We overhauled our website.
Okay. How is CFPB adhering to congressional mandated consumer protection mission by removing consumer education and other materials from its website?
We did not remove materials from the website. We put it in an archive
section. So you didn't remove the Know Your Right. You archived the Know Your Rights for veterans? You archived it?
We archived the
You archived the Know Your Rights, Russell, for veterans. You guys can get all upset all you want. He doesn't work for the president. He doesn't work for Zelle or Walmart. He works for the people of the United States. Shame on you. On your watch, complaints are up. You literally took money away from pockets of our residents. You can blink all you want. Your legacy will be the fact that people got hurt under your watch because you think you work for the president. Time is expired.
So the reason I played that again is because I want us to pay attention. First of all, Democrats need to keep bringing that kind of fire and heat to every single one of the hearings, Henry. But I wanted to play that again. It was on my mind earlier this morning because what's happening now is since Trump was given essentially a pass by the Supreme Court with regard to firing heads of agencies, and this will play into our piece, or our segment, I should say, in 6:30 with Anna Gomez, with the ability for him to, take the teeth out of the strength of the leadership at agencies and then appoint people who are essentially appointees rather than folks that are necessarily qualified for those roles. This is the kind of heat we need to bring to those appointees. We need to bring this kind of energy, and we need to be paying attention because Medicare and Medicaid are about to see some of the pain, unfortunately, of when it comes to prescription drugs. And I'm going to talk about this more in detail tomorrow. And then when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the area of science, and what's going to be hugely impactful to education, but also to our ability to navigate in the world when it comes to science. And these are both sort of the trickle down of Trump having the ability to fire agency heads and put in political appointees, but it also is going to have a direct impact on funding for areas where we need to have the best people on point to run the agencies. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but I wanted to play that clip again because Russell Vought is one of the people that's going to have his hand, quote unquote, on the till when it comes to the monies that go to the agencies, because he's the director of the Office of Management and Budget. So take a quick break, guys. 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Latinos have been here always, before, during, and after the founding of the United States. We are small business owners rising before dawn to power the economy, hands that pick, manage, and prepare the food that nourishes America. Builders of our homes, our cities, our roads, our communities. Workers who labor daily to strengthen the very fabric of our nation. We are caregivers, teachers, doctors, engineers, neighbors, families raising the next generation. Latinos contribute over $4 trillion to America's GDP, bringing promise, innovation, and vitality to every corner of the U.S. We are the backbone, an indelible part of the American story. We are America. America is us. Learn more by going to americaisus.org and discover how Latinos have shaped America's journey and continue to forge its future.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views on July 29th, 2026. Got a couple of quick Choose Views news items for you guys. UPS is lifting their full-year forecast as demands are driving their growth. UPS said yesterday that its first full-year annual review and profits as a shipping behemoth reported second quarter earnings results that surpassed their expectations. So they see that they're growing in the second quarter, or that they did see growth in the second quarter. The Atlanta-based company returned to growth on strong domestic demand, which is a good thing, following the completion of a plan to reduce the reliance on Amazon deliveries. Quote, when you grow, the stock should grow and follow, according to Carol Tomey, the CEO. The UPS is in the middle of a turnaround strategy that began early last year, and also has been part of their ability to reduce their job cuts. Visa is laying off 7% of their staff in a renewed efficiency push. Ahead of their reporting third quarter earnings yesterday, Visa announced it's laying off 7% of its workforce, roughly 2,600 people. According to CEO Ryan McInerney, their push for greater efficiency is top of mind. Technology and product teams were also impacted and will be the most going forward. In a memo to staff, McInerney cited a need to focus on driving efficiency across the company in order to reinvest our highest potential opportunities abroad and in the U.S. Apple plots a smartphone home expansion starting this fall. What does that mean? Apple is planning to launch 3 new AI-powered devices as the phone maker seeks to compete with the likes of Amazon and Alphabet in the smart home space, according to Bloomberg, citing anonymous insiders. The items include a hub device designed around Apple's new Siri AI assistant and a new TV setup box and an upgraded HomePod Mini. They were all set to be released as soon as this fall, according to Bloomberg. Until now, Apple had not made much or had much luck in selling home products. And last but not least, the new Apple Klarna program lets customers lease iPhones. They announced yesterday a program through which customers can lease an iPhone for up to 2 years for a starting price of $17.99 a month. Dubbed Upgrade, the service is provided by Klarna, a fintech known for its buy now, pay later loans. The news comes just 1 month after Apple raised prices on its MacBook and iPad models, citing hikes in memory and storage costs driven by the AI boom. And then earlier this week, Monday, the iPhone maker took NVIDIA to reclaim the title of the world's most valuable publicly traded company. So there you go. A little bit of tech information for those who are into that on this July 29th, 2026. Today on Live, Local and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be talking to Aaron Kleinman, head of, Heartland Signals, senior political analyst and author of the Radio Free America newsletter. Jane Kirtley, professor of media ethics and law at the University of Minnesota and former executive director of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. Terry Savage, syndicated personal finance columnist and author. That's Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty will be joined by, Ken Mejia Beal will fill in for Patty Vasquez with guest co-host Demi Palachek. That's cool. They'll talk to Peter Jealous, candidate for Congress in the 1st District of Wisconsin. Plus, we'll air Patty's pre-recorded interview with comedian Jason Salmon, who is performing this Friday and Saturday at the Comedy Vault in Batavia. Tomorrow on Choose Views, Enrico Moat and Rick Kasperzak will be here with me as guest co-hosts, and our guests will include Shaughnessy Naughton, president of 314 Action, and Kelder Royce, Wisconsin State Senator and candidate for Wisconsin Governor. That's going to be a lot of fun, so you guys are going to want to tune in. And always catch our Choose Views featured interviews and full episodes podcasts available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Okay, a couple of quick thoughts this morning on today's segment of Something to Chew On. Okay, there's a great article that I want you guys to check out. There's actually a couple of articles that were written yesterday that I want you guys to check out. And the subject is this. Trump has basically had this need for America first in a lot of categories. He's thrown this out as sort of this, grandiose, mission about the United States, America first. And in many ways, it hasn't been America first because of the amount of money that's gone to other countries, particularly gone to Israel's military and Israel's government and his dealings with Qatar and all the rest. Okay, so we could have that debate on a different day. However, the America First science policy is about to shift federal funding toward the private industry and artificial intelligence. And it's going to potentially give increased control to the likes of the Russell Vaughts of the world, like I mentioned earlier, over research grants and reducing the support for traditional universities. These are changes that, as I see it, are going to potentially reshape how we go about viewing the importance of research, and it'll probably move us in a direction where we'll have less smart people in our science fields potentially, but certainly less smart, educated, competent people running the agencies that are so near and dear to so many millions of Americans when it comes to science and research. And it's a fundamental, this shift could be a fundamental change in how people, in my opinion, look at science and view science, because now the folks potentially, if we go down this path, that are our scientific heads, if you will, or our scientific leaders, or whatever the label is, aren't going to necessarily be people that are steeped in science, that have spent their careers, their life work researching and understanding and going through the rigors of making sure that they get it right. And I'll probably talk with, if I remember to do this, I'll talk with Shaughnessy about this tomorrow, given that she's been a big advocate of more scientists in politics to help in some of the areas that we really need their expertise. But these are some of the things that are part of my concern. And then I'll talk a little bit about the articles. Political oversight and peer review. So if this moves in this direction, the proposed rules of the Office of Management and Budget will grant political appointees the power to review, approve, and pull the plug on federal science grants based on presidential policy priorities. Or, in other words, picking his favorites, picking his friends, putting people, talk about nepotism, talk about unqualified folks in areas that we need them to be qualified in. That's one of the immediate downsides of having that kind of consolidation of power. And this gets, again, into this conversation around the unitary executive theory. Bypassing, I should say, traditional review. What the administration wants to do, based on my research, is they want to seek alternatives to traditional peer review inside of the science field, which historically has relied on independent panels of scientific experts rather than political criteria. Another area, and this is more ideological, is it's going to reduce programs that are promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then, not last but least, but certainly the bigger picture is it's going to limit our global collaboration. In other words, these new guidelines look to restrict the international scientific partnerships that we've had for such a long time and limit foreign researcher participation, which critics are warning could isolate the United States scientists from major global breakthroughs. And so this consolidation, or this sort of America First ideology around science, is going to put us in a situation where if there's something that's going on, I'll give you an example. COVID, a lot of the solution for COVID, a lot of the vaccine solution for COVID wasn't just because some folks sat, in Texas or in Florida or in Virginia in a lab and came up with it. It's because of the collaboration that we had with other scientists throughout the globe. It was a combined global effort that allowed us to get past COVID, or to come up with the vaccines to help us get past COVID. Right there is a perfect example of why, if we become America first when it comes to science and there are political appointees, people are going to die. Could you imagine if we weren't able to collaborate with other smart people in the world when it comes to a medical issue that's a global issue like this disease, or this virus was? Imagine what that would do to not just the country, but the country's ability to solve problems that are outside of the country that we have a stake in solving. So that's where we're potentially headed. And so it could make our research could be slower, it could be costlier, and most definitely, as I said, harder to share. So we want to pay attention to this one. That's what I was saying a moment ago before we went to the first break. We have to pay attention, guys. There are numbers of distractions that are going on, and they're all going to potentially hit our pocketbook, our health, our safety. So please pay attention and be loud like Representative Rashida Tlaib was in that clip. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Whether you're hitting the beach, the local pool, or just going out for a walk, let's take a look at some sunscreen companies that support the Democratic Party. Neutrogena and Aveeno. Now, they are both owned by Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson is a company whose donations are mostly down the middle. But if we had the donations from their senior leaders, 60% of those donations went to Democrats. Banana Boat, and Hawaiian Tropic. Now, both of them are owned by Edgewell Personal Care, who does not give to politics as a company. However, some of their senior leaders do. And in 2024, they donated to Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, Nivea and Coppertone sunscreen. Both of them are owned by Bayerdorf, a German company who does not give to American politics. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
The Colonel is the king of chicken. That's why he's always had a beef with beef. But on Wednesdays, he's squashing the beef by frying it. KFC Country Fried Steak is here for only $4.99. Crispy golden outside, tender steak inside. Served with peppery gravy, mashed potatoes, coleslaw, and a biscuit. At last, the Colonel and beef buried the hatchet in gravy. Get the $4.99 Country Fried Steak Wednesdays for a limited time only at KFC.
Prices and participation may vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax, tip, and fees extra.
Behind every meal are the efforts of our farmers and farm workers, whose work feeds our families and powers our communities. For more than 30 years, AgSafe has supported this industry with the knowledge and resources needed to keep workers safe and thriving. We partner with agricultural employers to strengthen safety practices and provide hands-on training. Safety isn't paperwork. It's people, community, and peace of mind. Learn more about our work at agsafe.org. Sponsored by agsafe.org.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 65. Thursday, we'll see sunshine, a high around 87 degrees. Friday, a chance for showers and storms, a high of 76. Saturday, chance for rain and storms, high of 75 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 65.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Well, welcome back to Choose Views. Thanks for being with us this morning. The FCC has been looked at from a lot of different angles recently, and one of those is, how are they helping or hurting us? Well, one of the people that's doing her best to help us better understand the FCC and how it operates and where we need to go is Commissioner Ana Gomez, who's decided to hang out with us a little bit this morning. Good morning, Commissioner Gomez, and thanks for being on Choose Views.
Good morning. It's great to be with you.
Absolutely. Well, as I say oftentimes, I'm going to just dive right in the deep end of the pool. Talk about the evolution of your career. I mean, you have, when I say spread your arms and wrap your arms around it, you have had an amazing 30-year, if I've got that right, year in telecommunications, and certainly as a lawyer, an FCC insider. Tell us a little bit about what that journey has been about.
Thank you for that question. I'd say 30 plus.
Okay.
Not to date myself.
Dating ourselves is, at a certain point, I think dating ourselves is good because it says we've been through some stuff. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yes, I've been through some stuff. Yes, I've been here in D.C. Working in telecommunications policy for over 30 years now. And I've worked both within government here at the FCC. I was a longtime staffer at the White House. I worked in the National Economic Council during the Clinton administration. In the Senate, I worked as a staffer as well. But I also worked in the Obama administration at the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And most recently, I was at the State Department, where I represented the United States in negotiations before a telecom treaty before a United Nations agency. I also spent some time in the private sector at law firms as well as at Sprint Nextel. So long career in the communication space.
And in that period of time, I mean, obviously you cracked the ceiling, as it were, both as a woman and as when it comes to Latina leadership in that space. I mean, talk a little bit about that over 2 decades of work and over 3 decades of work. But you've definitely you put some cracks in that ceiling. Talk about what that's meant to you and then those who followed you.
Yeah, it's very important to me as a Latina woman, as you mentioned, and I used to always joke that as well as I was doing, I still wasn't at the top echelons, right? I was always kind of middle, and there were plenty of opportunities for others to also benefit from opportunities that we weren't seeing. But part of that for me was also trying to help others to also achieve leadership positions where their voices might be heard. And that's always been important to me. So for me, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been something I'm passionate about. And I've worked in that in every single position that I've had, for the most part. Except the one at the State Department. But I've always been a big promoter because I really do believe that diversity makes us stronger. I think having a diversity of viewpoints is really important for product development. It can be policy development. It can be development of sales and marketing products. It can also be development of legal theories if you're at a law firm. I think it's really important that we not all just speak in one voice. And so I've always been a big proponent of that. So it's very meaningful to me. Now, being the first Latina commissioner in over 2 decades, meant a lot to me too, and I hope that I continue to bring that legacy with me.
Well, it definitely is showing itself, and I think that one of the things that a lot of people forget, and maybe it's I will say maybe it's part of the narrative right now politically, is to take away the conversations that we need to have if we're going to actually strengthen our country and make our country even better than it is. It's got to include all the people that are inside of our country and those that want to come here, because that's what's historically made us a good country that we want to make better. So it's good to hear that you tap back into that every now and again to help you in navigating as you go forward. We're in some rocky times right now when it comes to communications at large, and I mean that whether it be what's being written, what's being spoken, what's on social media, and all the rest. If you were to could wave a magic wand from a legislative standpoint or from a legal standpoint, certainly from a policy standpoint, what are some of the things that you'd wave it at when it comes to some of the challenges that you see that we're facing as we go forward?
I think one of the things that this administration in particular has lost the plot on is consumers. For example, we're spending billions of dollars to deploy high-speed broadband, but we're not making sure that it's actually usable or affordable for everyday consumers. I really would like to focus on affordability and not weaken the programs that help consumers get access to what is the most important communications technology of our time to participate in not just the digital economy, but now the artificial intelligence economy. So if we're going to be responsible and make sure that these networks that we're building, that we're spending billions of dollars to build, are sustainable, we need to make sure that we have the digital literacy to use them and that we have affordability measures to make sure everyone can participate in this economy.
Do you think that, or what do you think is the parallel or the partnership that needs to take place when it comes to education and communication? We've seen, again, they're pushing for withdrawing funding and creating deficit in education. But what are your thoughts there as it relates to your earlier point?
Well, let's start with the fact that we can't teach our kids to participate in the artificial intelligence economy if they actually don't have the skills to utilize and to participate in it. So we really need to make sure that the schools, libraries, even hospitals have access to the technology that they need in order to be able to teach these skills. Now, the FCC does have funds that help with that. They were created by Congress 30 years ago. and in fact, I worked on that as a young staffer 30 years ago. But this FCC is looking to either weaken it or eliminate it altogether. And that is one of the most successful programs in our country, the program to ensure that schools and libraries nationwide have access to high-speed, high-capacity broadband. And I don't want to lose that, because what will happen is we will have entire communities left behind.
What do you think is in your career has been or have been, name a few, of the most significant transformations when it comes to communication, when it comes to, I guess we could say, the broad word of communications as it relates to your experience as an FCC commissioner?
Yeah, well, I mean, my generation has been through so many evolutions of technology. You know, let's start with the internet. Mm-hmm. When I first graduated from law school, we used the internet for emails and word processing. Although that was just computers. And now, of course, the internet is we're connected. Everything's connected. Our cars are connected. Everything is connected to the internet. Second is mobile services. So your cellular services, that was starting out. I don't know, you may not remember this. You're younger than me, I believe. But it used to be cell phones were very large and they cost about $3 a minute to use, and they didn't have connectivity to the internet. Well, now we are very much used to having computers in our pocket that have very high speed services. So those are pretty extraordinary changes in our lifetime. Today, the big evolution and revolution that we're seeing is with satellite technology. The space sector has just exploded, not in a bad way, right. In services, in really much more affordable services. We now get our Wi-Fi for free on certain airlines, thanks to satellite technologies. Yeah. So that's the next evolution in the telecom frontier that I'm very excited to continue to see evolve.
And the number of companies that are not using landlines anymore in their offices, and they have the communication internally is through Zoom or something of that nature, or just using their cell phone. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about sort of the history, because communications has impacted the legislation, has impacted the economics, because we created a whole industry because of the way in which our FCC said, yeah, we can do that, and we can create rules and policy around that. And you've been one of those voices along the way. So thank you for that. Have you, when you look at the communities that don't have the same access, and here's my point. I look at government funding on a federal and a state and local level, and then I think about folks that are in rural areas or very, very distant areas from where there's viable telecommunication access. That's an infrastructure, but it's also a vision, I think, conversation. What are we missing there? What are we missing in that conversation?
Well, I mean, I would go back to we are spending billions and billions of dollars to get access to them, and we're using all technologies. There's fiber, which is probably the best technology there is because of its high capacity, low latency. But there's also fixed wireless, which is a good second, especially in terrain that is just impossible to build in, and there's satellite. But if we don't focus on making it affordable for those very same populations, which tend to also have cost sensitivity, then they're not going to be able to benefit from it, and that's a real problem.
Are those are the folks that would fall into the what's it called, the affordability connectivity program? Or am I in the right direction there? Do I have talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Affordable Connectivity Program was a program that was set up during the pandemic to allow people to access broadband with support. So it was a monthly support of $30 a month. Hugely successful program. 23 million households nationwide signed up for it. Sadly, that program ran out of funding. And we had to close it, shut it down. So that's 23 million households that lost their funding. We have a program that has been in existence since the 90s, and it's called the Lifeline program. It's not as good of a program. It's only $9.25 a month. And it's, there's a lot of barriers to signing up for it. So I keep hoping that Congress, which is looking at reforming our entire system for these types of supports, will create another affordable connectivity program funded out of our traditional programs here at the FCC, because that would make it sustainable so that, households don't get whiplash from programs ending and then starting again. So I would really like to see that happen. I would also like to see the FCC increase the support amount, because $9.25 a month is just so very little. It's just not gonna move the needle for a lot of people, but it's still very important, and we need to make sure that it continues. And
this is, I hate to use bipartisan necessarily, but this is an issue that should be viewed as nonpartisan. But and you look at geography, and many of the rural citizens / voters happen to be ones that are in red districts from a national and a state level. So you would think that all of our leaders, top down and left and right, would say, yeah, we need to make sure that we invest and reinvest in those types of programs, because the more people have access to those, it creates better access from a healthcare standpoint and all the rest.
That is correct. And in fact, the working group in Congress that's looking at reforming this entire system is bipartisan, bicameral. You're right. This is not a blue-red issue, because this benefits everyone in all over the country. In fact, I like to point out that when the Affordable Connectivity Program lapsed, it was then Senator J.D. Vance that co-sponsored a bill to actually reignite it and refund it. So it is definitely a bipartisan issue.
Without a doubt. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I am talking with Ana Gomez. We'll be right back.
How do you know you're home? At Habitat for Humanity, we believe it's when you find peace, stability, and safety. But 1 in 3 people on Earth woke up today without a good home. Not because of chance, but because of high costs and other very real barriers. A housing crisis this big needs all of us. So let's open the door to opportunity and build a tomorrow where home is possible for everyone. Visit Habitat.org to learn more. Again, that's Habitat.org. Habitat for Humanity. Let's open the door.
Your child is sick. And with those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Healing begins with happiness. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation provides programs to hospitalized kids to deliver happiness when it matters most. Learn more at starlight.org.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us. Thanks. We're back talking with Ana Gomez, who is the lone Democratic commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission. And she's with us this morning to talk. We were talking earlier about some of the, I guess you could say, the legislative and the economic sides of where we are with regard to communications in America, some of the tools that we have in place and ones that need to be revamped, recharged to make our communications more effective, more viable for so many Americans. But she's also got some observations about what the legislative side has done, the regulatory agencies, what this regulatory agency has done, and what the FCC, Brandon Carr, has done to make it more difficult for us in this current time. Let's talk a little bit about some of the recent items with regard to the Supreme Court, Ms. Gomez.
Yes. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, whether you're talking about the Slaughter decision or some of the other decisions that we've had.
Well, firing commissioners is one of them.
Yes.
That's definitely one that kind of got the hair on the back of my neck to crawl. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yes. This all started with the president firing 2 federal trade commissioners, the 2 Democrats on the Federal Trade Commission last year, and adopting the policy that as the head of the executive branch, there's no such thing as an independent agency, and this president can fire anyone at will. So one of the 2 commissioners, Rebecca Slaughter, challenged her firing, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court actually ruled that, in fact, the president did have that authority with regard to the Federal Trade Commission. They have a theory called the unitary executive theory that is what is supposed to permit this actions. Why is it concerning? Independent agencies were created by Congress, usually multi-member, multi-party commissions, because they wanted to insulate them from political pressure. They wanted them to be expert agencies that made decisions based on their expertise and not based on an individual party. Hence why we have multi-member, multi-party commissions.
Right.
The Federal Communications Commission was very intentionally created this way because of concern that we not have a regulator controlled by the whims of one person with regard to media policy. Back then, it was radio, because it was back in the 1930s that the FCC was created, and the Congress considered at the time putting the FCC in the Commerce Department, but the Secretary of Commerce actually said, no, that's a terrible idea. We don't want this because we don't want our communications medium being controlled by one person. We've had it this way now for over 100 years, or close to 100 years.
Yeah.
And the reasons today are very clear why it is so important. We have an administration that is using the Federal Communications Commission to censor and control speech and to punish any criticism and any speech that it does not like. That is exactly the danger that Congress considered back when it created the FCC, and why it made us a multi-member, multi-party commission. One thing I think is important to talk about is the Supreme Court made it clear it was only ruling with regard to the Federal Trade Commission, that it did not apply to other agencies. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that I don't think this administration will use it as an excuse to fire other Democrats or anyone else that may dissent with it? No, of course it will. And we'll see where that goes. But that same day, the Supreme Court also, in a separate ruling, ruled that the Reserve Board was different. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's an independent agency, but because of its history and its importance to the economy, it found that, in fact, the president couldn't just fire folks at will. And there's still more to come on that, I'm sure. But I would argue that the Federal Communications Commission is different as well because of its importance to democracy and its importance with regard to the First Amendment. So I hope as we continue to talk about this, we continue to make that distinction so that we don't just accept that the Supreme Court's decision in the Federal Trade Commission applies to everybody. Because
the concern that you have, I know, as a citizen, but as a longtime server of the country, and then as a lawyer, is that it's going to stunt conversation. It's going to stunt discourse. It's going to stunt criticizing the government when it needs to be criticized, irrespective of party, left, right, or in the middle. This is not a partisan. Criticizing the government is not a partisan only issue where and so this is, to me, that's the slippery slope of the FTC. And then what's next, to your point? And then when we look at how this being backfilled by folks that are part of Project 2025 and their goal, I agree with you. This is what's the next shoe to drop. Talk a little bit about this as it relates to silencing government critics. I mean, you heard what Marco Rubio said, Stephen Miller, and Mark Wayne Mullin said about anybody essentially that criticizes what this government's doing or this administration's doing is, a target of ours.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the fact that the First Amendment prohibits government interference in free speech, whether it's the freedom to speak or the freedom to access information of your choice, the freedom of the press. So all of these actions that this administration is taking to try to chill speech are, in fact, unconstitutional and a violation of the First Amendment. And you're right. Not only is there a concern about chilling speech, but it is actually happening. When this administration began its attack on the First Amendment, I started a First Amendment tour where I traveled all over the country. I'm still doing it, talking to local communities, local broadcasters, and everywhere I go, I hear the same fear. What am I allowed to say? Because I'm afraid I'm going to get dragged before the FCC. Not only am I hearing that, and my response when I hear that is always, it is not for me to tell you. Your First Amendment right is to make editorial decisions on your own and to report on them without fear or favor from this administration. But I've also had specific examples of people whose contracts were not renewed or were actually removed because of fear that this particular reporter, for example, had criticized the administration, and that station said, we don't want to be targets of this administration. We saw in was it San Francisco? KCBS, which was a station that was reporting on ICE activities. The administration complained, the FCC initiated an investigation, and the anchor got demoted because of reporting factual information that was actually already publicly available. So we are seeing the chilling effect in real time, and that is really problematic. At the same time, I am happy to report that we are starting to see pushback, not just by newspapers who have had enough and are defending themselves against the multiple assaults from this administration and are winning. Every time someone challenges this administration, every time they win because they have the law and the Constitution on their side. But we're also seeing, for example, Disney, which owns the ABC stations, which this FCC is now investigating and threatening, pushing back. And I'm very happy to see that because it is only when these corporations stand up for the First Amendment and stand up for their rights that we are going to be able to protect what is a foundational part of our democracy.
That is so well stated, and I'm good to hear. I mean, it's good to hear that you got the data that says that entities are standing up and pushing back because the winds are on the wind, as in the wind that blows, as well as the win versus loss. They're on our side. And that's in and of itself not being communicated enough to talk about communication, that we have more wins than they do in this conversation about First Amendment rights and speech. It's been great talking with you. We have to have you back again, but we're running out of time this morning. We'd love to have you back. Ana Gomez is the lone Democratic commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission, and we so appreciate your history and all the work that you've done. And we look forward to having you back on Choose You. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us this morning. Bye now.
Bye now.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Ukraine says it hit one of Russia's largest oil refineries. The attack reportedly started a fire and sent 6 people to the hospital. President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump met yesterday ahead of Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral, with the two leaders discussing sanctions against Russia and ways for Ukraine to produce its own powerful weapons. After the closed-door meeting, Zelensky thanked Trump for what he described as a good meeting in a post on social media. Also yesterday, Trump and Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu met privately at the White House for the first time since launching the joint war against Iran. The AP's Sagar Magani has more.
It lasted nearly 90 minutes behind closed doors at the White House. The sit-down came with both leaders under growing pressure at home. The president's facing calls to end an unpopular war. Netanyahu is up for re-election and facing strains in a hot and cold relationship. Hours earlier, the president revealed some tensions, telling Fox and Friends he was not happy with reports Netanyahu planned to discuss intelligence about a potential Iranian nuclear site.
Why didn't you just tell it to me? Why do you have to announce it to the world?
Israeli UN Ambassador Danny Danon sought to downplay any tensions.
We are grateful for our deep partnership with the U.S.
The White House says the meeting was positive and productive, without giving any details. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The late Senator Lindsey Graham will be buried today in his home state of South Carolina. Graham was eulogized yesterday as a true American original during memorial services in Washington. Trump joined foreign leaders, including Zelensky and Netanyahu, for a funeral at Washington National Cathedral. Oil prices rebounded after a brief pause in fighting between the U.S. and Iran was shattered. This is AP News. The death toll in southern Japan after a massive earthquake has reached at least 18 people so far.
Soldiers and emergency workers are combing through a badly damaged shopping mall and collapsed houses, looking for trapped survivors on Wednesday, a day after the 7.1 magnitude quake. The Aeon Mall shopping centre in Kashima City was bustling with thousands of people when the quake happened. The company said 3,000 customers were evacuated to a parking lot before a gas explosion happened in another part of the mall, where some people were still working. Japanese Prime Minister Sane Takaichi said the rescue effort was a race against time, but that emergency services would go all out to find and rescue as many people as possible. The sweltering weather heightened worries about the survivors. It remains unclear how many people might still be missing. I'm Karen Shamas.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 65. Thursday, we'll see sunshine, a high around 87 degrees. Friday, a chance for showers and storms, a high of 76. Saturday, chance for rain and storms, high of 75 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
Homeowners, is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree?
Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted name in Chicagoland for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that make homes more comfortable and energy efficient. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler and improve indoor air quality during the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, from roof repairs and replacements to flat roofs, commercial roofing, and solar panel installation. The right insulation and ventilation can lower energy use, reduce strain on your HVAC system, and help maintain more consistent temperatures throughout your home. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty. Schedule your free insulation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us. This is Chew's Views if you are just tuning in. And I'm Richard Chew. Thanks to Commissioner Gomez for taking some time out of her busy schedule to do that interview with us. Go to her, Google her, Anna Gomez, if you want to know more. You can also, later today, you'll be able to grab the podcast of the complete interview. But she really is eye-opening, and based on her experience, and I happen to be older than her, and she was giving me a little bit of love that I was her age, but I'm a little bit older than she is. That being said, she is one of those voices that's calling out the BS that's coming from this administration. And you heard her talk about or use the unitary executive theory as it relates to what they're trying to do with so many of the agencies and the ability for Trump to be able to fire agency heads. This ties back to what I was saying earlier with regard to science. Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about Medicare and Medicaid and some new findings that are coming about. But that being said, it's Wednesday morning, and I have to welcome our good friend, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, good morning, Richard. How are you? Thanks
I'm good.
for having me once again.
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. My eyes are a little dry this morning. I don't know why that is, but that being said, I'm doing great. And I am happy to be hanging out with you for a little bit. I don't know how much, if you caught any of the segment with Anna Gomez. She really, she calls it as it is. She knows what's going on. She sees it beyond she sees it beyond just the FCC, but also she talked about the FTC and how this is affecting the economy and what they're doing in the constraints there. So great to have her on. Really, really super smart lady, and I'm glad she's been there, kind of holding it down for a while.
Yeah, awesome guest.
Thank you. So
I feel intimidated when I have to follow someone like that.
Well, trust me, when I have to, when I have the honor to interview, I mean, Monday, I said this, I get to interview again, General Honore. I'm like, I openly admit, I'm excited but nervous as hell in interviewing that dude. Just waiting for him to call me to orders or something. I mean, if you
yeah.
you know what I'm
drop and give
about.
me 20.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's just let's be honest. Let's be real here. That dude he still carries that. And I've never met him face to face. I've only interviewed him 4 or 5 times. But you know what I'm talking about. You talk to somebody like that that's done the thing for all these years, and you give them their respect, you give them their due, because they're just that person. They're just that, they've been in it. She's been doing this for 30 years, Anna Gomez has, so she knows what the hell she's talking about. Yeah. Half these fools that are in these agencies, they haven't done it for 3 years, and so you know what I mean. So you talk to somebody like that. I know what you mean. You're like, how do you follow that? Yeah. But it's an honor to be able to interview.
Just keep in mind, we have over 30 former Fox employees in this administration.
Stop lying, man. No, we don't. We got 2.
Keep that in mind.
No, we don't. You're making that up. That's fake news. Fake news. Fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news. You're making it up, Kurt. It's only 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that
crazy?
Just think about that for a second, brother. We got all
says a lot.
You know, it just shows. I thought about that the other day when I saw the numbers too. I was like, he said it best when he was talking about and making the comparison or making the comment about LeBron James. And I want to draw a comparison in a second. But you heard what he said about I only like people that like me. Okay,
like me,
right? Yeah. So there's an interesting way I look at that phonetically and word wise. I only like people that like me, and also he didn't say this, but this is the underbelly. I only like people like me. Do you get it?
Yeah, that's what he said.
He said I only like people that like me, but the underbelly is, guys, he only likes people that are like him or that are like me.
Yeah.
So
I wish I was in that room. I would have raised my head and said, "So you don't like Melania then?"
Woo! Wow, wow. You would have been escorted out, but I would have been there.
Oh yeah.
But me and Eric would have been there too, and we would have been like, "Hold on."
Yeah.
Kurt, I got to tell you, I had so much fun on Sunday. I got a chance to be on the family, hang out with the folks on the family meeting, and to celebrate pre-celebrate Eric's 60th birthday, and we had a ton of fun. It was a bunch of laughs, and you would have been beat red if you had been with us on the air that Sunday afternoon, because it was rip-roariously funny. But it was good to hang out with them. So going back to this thing about Trump for a minute. I want to say this, and then we'll get into some other things. The comparison that we get to make. All this is going on with the WNBA, and we had the All-Star game here this weekend and this past weekend and all that. And the differences between people. Trump denigrates LeBron James, saying he's probably a racist, right? With all that's happening with going to Philadelphia 76ers. Etc. Obama recognizes that Caitlin Clark's been catching hell for whatever reason, and then she's not necessarily, on her own, desire to become a political or wrapped up in the political conversation and sports and race and all that. But it's kind of happened. What does he do when he walks up to her? He greets her, makes a point of greeting her and saying, "Don't lose the joy." Knowing that she's catching hell for whatever reason. Some of it's made up because the corporate media needs to have an antagonistic thing going on to keep their narrative up. That's just kind of how the corporate media is working right now. But what does Obama do? President Obama, he walks in and greets her and all the other women that are there, but he says to her, make sure you don't lose the joy. What a cool thing to do, right?
Right.
Versus the knucklehead in the White House who's like, yeah, LeBron's probably a racist.
Probably right, yeah. That's the difference in personalities and who the men are as far as their character. So,
MAGA, you can't get that
comparison.
Stink. You can't get that stink off of you with the best of chemical baths.
No.
You all are immersed in it. It's going to be in your pores for a long time, and you made the decision.
Yeah, the only way it's going to go away is when there's dirt thrown on top of it. So.
And I don't even know if it's going to go away then.
Nothing's going to grow above him.
Right. Well, okay, there you go.
The grass will be dead.
Tainted soil. Can't grow anything there. Oh man. So Kurt, let me ask you this question, and it may not really even matter. It would give a darn to talk about it right now. But what do you think of I've been talking about the two big races in Michigan with the Senate race there, which we have to win. We have to beat Mike Rogers. That's just at the end of the day, that's what's got to happen. People are going to lean toward Dr. Saeed. Some are going to lean toward Stevens. Ultimately, we have to win that seat. So we don't need to pick sides on that. Same thing down in Texas. Many people wanted Representative Crockett. She didn't win the primary. Tallarico's the person. It just came out that he's got a 5-point lead. And I asked a question earlier. What are people's thoughts around that? What are your thoughts around Tallarico's 5-point lead? Is it real? Do you think it's sustainable? Up, down? Where do you land on that?
Or do you
even care?
I do care. I mean, there's so many. It's just really hard to put your finger on that. If you remember, Hillary had a 16-point lead, I think it was at one point in time, had a huge lead. I think that momentum can be built from it, but I also feel like that's just going to get really nasty down there before it's all said and done. And I think it's going to come from both sides. Paxton is a horrible individual. I mean, his history is just riddled with controversy and just, the decisions he's made and some of the things that he's done in his lifetime. But we've seen that doesn't matter to people who support this movement in this country. They only have one agenda, and that is to, own the libs. And so they will put aside anything that is negative or criminal or, they that will do harm to themselves, that they will ignore it. I mean, we see it day after day. So, but yeah, I think once Jasmine was gone from that race, that we need to, even though it may be tough for some people, we need to get behind Tallarico, because we need that. We need that position. We have to knock guys like Paxton out of this thing. They just can't have a voice in government anymore. It's just horrible. We're not facing an election here in Indiana, but we've got the same kind of situation with our state leadership. So it's just, so whether it's going to grow or not, I don't know. We'll it's remain to be seen. So
I thought that a lot of, and to your point about the dirt that's thrown already, what's creeped up is they're now trying to say that it's ironic in the craziest of ways that they're trying to now come up with the same narrative, or similar narrative, maybe is a better way of putting it, that Tallarico has got some voting registration issues, which ironically, that first landed in Paxton's lap because of his marital status and where he was actually living and such. And listen, I mean, I brought it up, but at the end of the day, there's far worse things that Paxton has been rightfully accused of and judged on. The voting thing, it's wrong. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Does that discount him necessarily as a candidate? Either way, I mean, it's wrong. It's something that it could technically be something that a mistake was made. Own up to it and move forward. But don't beat your wife. Don't have affairs with women and all these other things that Paxton has been rightfully accused of. You know what I mean?
Well, don't release sexual predators, 39 days after they've been, indicted and arrested.
Yeah.
His buddy, or
I know him, so I'm going to let him go. Craziness.
That right there is a little bit more issue
concerning
with me than voting registration.
I mean, if we're measuring badness, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Hey, Landon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, but that's Richard, that's where we are at in this country right now, and what the narrative is. It's voting rights. It's communism taking over our country, and it's just all this grifting and all of this other crazy stuff that's going on. And we're ignoring the fact that we've got a demented old dude in the White House who has some mental problems that are glaring. I mean, I try not to watch much of him or view him much, but that speech at the Correspondence Center Friday night was, I mean, and just the way he was during that whole dinner.
Yeah.
And then
Kurt,
he said.
Hold your point, because I want to talk about that, but I don't want to rush through it. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to start right there. So let's go to a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, on WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, talking with Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. We'll be right back.
Latinos have been here always, before, during, and after the founding of the United States. We are small business owners rising before dawn to power the economy, hands that pick, manage, and prepare the food that nourishes America. Builders of our homes, our cities, our roads, our communities. Workers who labor daily to strengthen the very fabric of our nation. We are caregivers, teachers, doctors, engineers, neighbors, families raising the next generation. Latinos contribute over $4 trillion to America's GDP, bringing promise, innovation, and vitality to every corner of the U.S. We are the backbone, an indelible part of the American story. We are America. America is us. Learn more by going to americaisus.org and discover how Latinos have shaped America's journey and continue to forge its future.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. To take a quick break, hanging with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Yeah, Kurt, correspondence dinner. Go for it, because I got a couple others I want to throw at you in terms of speeches. Talk about the dinner.
What a S show that was. I mean, just another example of this guy and who he is, and how, it just, people say, he's not what, he's not racist. He's not, this guy is, that's who he is. That's, I mean, he just, I struggle with words, Richard, because it's been so long with this dude in front of us. I mean, how do you describe this guy?
What's the new word that we can come up with to describe his awfulness? And again, this is something that we cannot turn our heads away from, and we have to talk about. But the people that are continuing, or the people around him that are continuing to prop him up, support, protect, blind us from the realities of what he's actually doing. And this is where I go and say they're the ones that we have to hold equally accountable, because they're right there. I mean, you and I, if you and I sat for 2 hours and watched all of his stuff, we'd sit back and go, this guy's a damn fool. He's off his, and that's just watching it on a screen. So the people that are in the room with him, the people that are listening to him, that are observing him, and all the rest. That's why I've been saying so often, and you have been too, so well, that they're the ones that really we've got to be leaning into and pushing and criticizing and getting out of positions, because they're the ones that are complicit more than anybody. The cabinet.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're right there. They see it. Or depending on.
But if you paid attention to it, and if you saw any of it, I mean, the reaction he was getting from the crowd, which was mainly his people there, there weren't many laughing at his ridiculous attempt at jokes. There wasn't much applause going on. I mean, I think, I think it's apparent when you see this guy in situations like that, and he surrounds himself with what he refers to as his people. And I think you said it earlier. He's not a liked man. People don't like him, he's just not somebody that you want to sit up and chum around with and sit around and talk with, because he's one of these idiots that it's always going to be centered on him. And eventually, man, you get tired of that. Yeah. You don't want to sit around a table and have a beer with somebody and the discussion evolves around them continuously. Yeah. And that's who this guy is. It's nonstop with him. And his jokes or his attempted, and his jokes or slurs to Caitlin Collins and to others, it's just crazy. But I love the fact that Wolf got up there and basically laid it out on the line and said, hey, you're this, dude. This is what we,
And kudos to the folks who
he's
covered
sitting there going like this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
well, and then at that,
Richard, if Wolf was up there lying, wouldn't he have become intense with anger? You're lying about me. Yeah. Or wouldn't most human beings? If somebody was up there slandering you, talking about you, and saying false things, wouldn't you get upset about that? And he is just sitting there, just shrugging it off, like,
even at the correspondence dinner, where there's supposed to be a certain amount of roasting and levity that takes place. Mm-hmm. Even in that, I mean, this was a weird, and I know it was a weird moment, and I know that we all get tired of talking about Trump and Trumpism and all the rest.
Right.
I'm going to say and rather than but. And the necessity of it right now is because of the attacks that he makes on who's in the audience. And just stay with me on this little bit of a pivot. He made attacks on the journalists, which was obviously going to happen. And then he talked about how you all are going to be broke when I'm gone because there won't be anything to cover. Part of what he said there, I didn't really disagree with. And here's why. It's because they've covered him in such a way that it shows their hand, corporate media, that their goal has really not been to cover the things that need to be covered in a way that allows us to go forward and to identify and out him. They've covered in a way that's been favorable, and that's played to the MAGA side of who's watching various shows. So that part I didn't disagree with him on, because I do see that the media has been very complicit in that regard. My pivot, Kurt, is to this rally in Michigan that took place that I just got to get your take on this. I mean, listen, you and I grew up at a time where there were mama jokes. You know, you within reason. You could make a mama joke, but you couldn't go too far. You might get your behind whooped. You know what I'm talking about. But when you tell a crowd of people that I've done more for you than your parents have, I mean, walk us out of this mud pile, Kurt. I mean, that one, you're in charge of getting us out of this mud pile. I've done more for you than your parents have. Yeah. Look, there's some words I can't say on the air, but you know where I'm headed. So walk us out of the mud on this one as we wrap up, man.
Yeah. How can I walk us out of that mud? I mean, that just maybe that's his experience. Maybe he didn't get much from his parents, and so that's what he is projecting onto the crowd. Because when he grew up, he was given everything, as far as money and wealth and all of this thing and the name and all that, but he never received any substance from his parents. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't think this guy can connect people that way, though, because he's not connected that way. He's not someone that has depth and emotion and or any empathy or sympathy or love or respect for anyone. He just doesn't. That's who he is. He's been that way his entire life. And maybe that's where that was coming from. But, there's going to be people that are going to continue to show up and vote for him because they don't care. Yeah. They don't care what he says, what he does. I mean, it's quite obvious. Look at the situation. But
it's funny because I will tell you, I thought about a handful of people in that moment, or when I saw what was said, and I thought you were one of those people, because I thought, I remember a time when you brought parents into the conversation about something. You started denigrating somebody's mother or father. You could only go so far in that before you ended up having some meat on the side of your face.
Well, I come from the childhood. You say something about my dad, hey, I'm not cool with that. You say something about my mom, I'm going to pop you.
Yeah, you might end up in the emergency room.
You leave my mom alone,
or with some Bactine or some iodine on the side of your face.
Yeah. You better
Took you back on that one, didn't I?
Exactly. So the only other thing that I wanted to bring up this morning was Jay Clayton. Really?
Oh,
this
come on!
is the guy that we bring in as intelligence.
Why are you going to hurt my heart like that, man?
Really? Dude can't even. And see, this is where I have a problem with how things are going. Why? I know that we have limited reach on our power right now, but don't tell me there's not a way that could have been shut down. I don't understand how we are continuously allowing these kind of fools to get put into position in this cabinet and in our government.
It's because this is that moment where we've got to recognize.
No. come on. I mean, I don't know.
No, this is that moment where I'm saying we look at that and we go, we've got to fight even harder because Clayton is highly unqualified.
Idiot.
Whether he's qualified or not, his performance in that moment disqualifies him. No matter what his background, his legal background, his tech, all that it's set aside because in that moment when he was required to deliver, he didn't deliver. He delivered to an audience of one, but not to the real folks that need to be need to approve that. So, yeah, I hear you on
we
that.
We need to make mental notes on all of these things.
Come back on these people.
Cannot forget them.
Yeah, and come back and get on these people.
Yeah, so.
Kurt Mullett, Hoosier Blue 63, Substack, go everywhere. Just follow him. You got nothing else to do.
Thanks, Richard.
Follow him. Kurt, good to see you, man. Good to hang out for a few minutes.
You
Be
too,
safe
brother.
today. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, take care of yourself. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye. 773-763-9278 is the number. We'll be right back.
When you've got real work to do, Metal Supermarkets will help you get it done fast. With a huge variety of metals in stock, we can help no matter what job comes your way. And all it takes is a few clicks. We make buying metal online easy so you can spend less time shopping and more time getting things done. Metal Supermarkets, the convenient stores for metal. Place an order online today at metalsupermarkets.com.
WCPT replay.
You know, Karen, one of the things that I've said before, I learned this way back in the day when I was a lifeguard, that you save the people that are closest to you. If a boat tips over, don't try to save the one that's screaming the loudest, that's the furthest away, because you'll end up going past the people that are more easily savable, that can actually help you save more people. And it stayed with me. That I learned that when I was 16 years old. It stayed with me to this day. And that's kind of how, and I've said it before on this show, that's the thing I think we have to kind of embrace right now, continually when it comes to growing the party, getting the party back in the right order, getting those voters off the bench, is making sure that we're saving the ones that are closest to us one by one. You talk about it a lot. Michelle Peltier talks about it a lot in terms of one person at a time. And here's the thing, if all of us are saving one person at a time, look at what we got. I mean, it's pretty badass when we do it that way, don't you think?
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
How do you know you're home? At Habitat for Humanity, we believe it's when you find peace, stability, and safety. But 1 in 3 people on Earth woke up today without a good home. Not because of chance, but because of high costs and other very real barriers. A housing crisis this big needs all of us. So let's open the door to opportunity and build a tomorrow where home is possible for everyone. Visit Habitat.org to learn more. Again, that's Habitat.org. Habitat for Humanity. Let's open the door.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 65. Thursday, we'll see sunshine, a high around 87 degrees. Friday, a chance for showers and storms, a high of 76. Saturday, chance for rain and storms, high of 75 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chu. Thanks to our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Go check out all of his work. Dr. Colette Delawalla is, I'm going to say, an emerging voice in an area. I'm going to get her in some trouble real quick. Stand up for science.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to get her in some trouble. You do the driving, and I'll kidnap him. And I mean this politically. Nobody get their undies in a bundle. Russell Vaught. Because dude is messing up some stuff. Can we start there, Doc?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. It's so good to see you again and to hear from you. Thanks so much for having me on. Oh, God, Russell Vaught. Yeah, so this is a guy who is quietly in a position that most Americans just don't even know what the Office of Management and Budget is trying to take power from Congress to control all of the government's discretionary funds, which is about $1.5 to $1.7 trillion a year. So it's a lot of money. It ends up being about like close to 20-ish% of the yearly federal budget.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a known Christian nationalist. He got his starts at the Heritage Foundation and the Heritage Action Group. He really subscribes to this idea of the executive branch of the United States government having the most power. He doesn't believe in 3 co-equal branches. And this OMB rule is meant to really progress that by handing over the reins of discretionary funding to the executive, in this case, over to Trump and the cabinet.
Yeah, it's I'm not going to use the words that are non-action words like it's frightening, it's scary, it's concerning. No, I'm ticked off that he's in this role. And Kurt just said a moment ago in terms of who some of the people are in the cabinet and who talking about Jay Clayton. They don't need to be there. Clayton may have had the legal background, the legal expertise, and previous work expertise that would make him qualified to do the work, but he failed in the moment during the hearing. And that, to me, is it disqualifies him from being in this role, because we're going to have another person like Russell Vought in a role that could end up impacting our elections. Now, I know we don't need to go down that path because we're here to talk about science and what's recently happened, and with regard to this America First in terms of science policy. I know you're probably fully aware, if not better than most, and it was part of my segment of something to chew on earlier in the show. So talk to us, Dr. Delawalla, about this direction that we're headed as it relates to science and the administration not only pulling resources, but putting it in the position where appointees are determined by Vought and his band of idiots.
Yeah, band of idiots. Ooh, I like that one.
I'm a little salty this morning about this one.
Yeah, no, me too. So the thing that I will say about this, and I'm going to use quotes to say America First initiative, I feel like, the Office of Science and Tech Policy put out this big report. It's 120 something pages. It harkens to this guy, his name's Vannevar Bush. About 70 years ago, he wrote this book and had this initiative called The Endless Frontier. And The Endless Frontier is, and the vision laid out by Bush, effectively laid out how science should work. It set the groundwork for all of the innovation, all of the scientific excellence that we see in the United States today. And he is often reasonably and for very good reason credited with sort of where we landed. But he also had a lot of congressional support. He had presidential support, et cetera. They hearkened on that. Even like the front cover of the report is the same fonts. It like looks the same, and they're calling it, science in the golden age of science. Yeah, which is just like, all right, well, if you're into pyrite, maybe, some full gold or some like gold plated crap, right? But we were in the golden age of science, I would argue, in 2024, and the actions that the Trump administration has taken has actively kneecapped us from continuing down this path. And so we have this instance where the administration is saying one thing, that report is totally a PR stunt, right? Like, it's totally a PR stunt. The things that are good about it are actually programs that already exist, that have existed in some cases for decades. Like, they cited ARPA, which is it's a form of sort of quick development for really important cases of things like, there's an emerging pandemic, let's make a vaccine, those types of things.
Right.
That really strategic, we've got the technology and the tools to do this. let's take it one step further and move quickly in this area. Like, we already have these mechanisms in place. And so all of the good things in that report are things we're already doing. And I just, to even put out that report when OMB, like the other side of the presidential cabinet, is actively working to dismantle all scientific research, to politicize it, to only fund, work in red states, to not fund work in blue states, is just like, it's so unserious. I'm like lacking a word for what it is, but it's so unserious, and it means next to nothing. Like, it's just a PR stunt for the Trump administration to be able to say, no, look, we do care about science. All these people complaining about the OMB rule, they're full of crap. So PR stunt, in my view.
Yeah, there's two great articles that I'm sure you're aware of. One in ProPublica, particularly talking.
The ProPublica one was good.
Yeah, the one Lisa Song wrote, which is really great. But the thing that I wanted to come back to as it relates to the why, the international impact, and I think about two things. One of which I said earlier, and I'd love to get your scientific observation on this, and that is, when COVID hit us, it hit the United States, but it hit all of us. It hit the globe.
Yeah.
And so there weren't just scientists in Texas and California and Maine and wherever in the United States that came up with the idea and the remedies as it relates to the vaccines. That was a global initiative. And as are so many solutions to medical issues that we have, and to be able to, and to be in a situation where we're going to be pulled away, or we're pulling ourselves, not we aren't, but this administration is pulling us away from the ability to have access to that kind of expertise. That, to me, it's not concerning. It ticks me off, because if you think about it like this, and this is maybe how I think about it, Dr. Delawalla, there are people in red states whose lives were saved because we came up with a vaccine, even though they begrudgingly may have taken it, but their lives were saved. And there's probably someone somewhere else on the planet outside of the United States that was part of that solution. But we're pulling ourselves away from that kind of brilliance and medical and scientific technology.
Yeah, it's insane to think, cancer knows the difference between the United States and Mexico, right? Like, that's really what we're saying here, right? That cancer knows about borders, that physics knows about borders, that weather knows about borders. It's just so stupid. Like, that's really what it boils down to.
Dr. Delawalla, doesn't this one trip you out? So the countries that Trump wants to say are the ones that we should have people coming from to the United States, the quote unquote, the white countries. Think about this for a second. Even though there's brilliance that comes from those countries, they got medical issues too.
Believe it or not, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to wrap our minds around. Here's something really interesting. There has been such an incredible breakthrough for endometriosis. There is now a saliva test for endometriosis, and before this, you had to get surgery to verify that a woman had it. So the test was surgery, which is crazy, especially in a country where we have terrible healthcare. Just to see if you have it. Now it's a spit test. It is in the final phases of trials. You can't get it in the United States.
That's insane.
And I don't know all of the ins and outs of the reasons for that, but this is a similar thing, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of instances where there are medical breakthroughs that people want. People want these breakthroughs. Women want to be able to be diagnosed with endometriosis without undergoing surgery. It doesn't matter where you live, that we will not have access to.
That's right. And I'm going to say this, let you chat about it a little bit, and then we'll go to a break. I always think about these things and then go, I'm a why person. I'm not a scientist, but I guess in my brain, I'm like, okay, where?
That's a scientist's perspective.
Let's go back to, right. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I drive folks in my personal life nuts about this because I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. How do we, let's go back and see. And then, you know, I recently had something happen where I got a small thing that happened. And I'm like, okay, where did I get that? How did that happen? Because I want to know for reasons for going forward so that I don't make that mistake again, if that makes any sense. Yep. And that is something that it seems like the people that are in these roles don't care about. They don't care about the why. They don't, because that's history. They don't care.
That's right.
Okay, am I way off the rails on this one?
No, I don't think you're way off the rails, because the thing is that when you start asking questions about why does one group in the United States experience greater consequences because of alcohol use compared to another group, then you start getting into social determinants of health. Right? Why are Black women dying at a higher rate during childbirth as compared to their white counterparts? Like, that is a social determinant of health. And if you really care about the why, you're not just going to find, oh, well, this group is genetically inferior compared to that group. That's not what we're finding. What we are finding is the societal construct of things such as racism have health impacts. The air around, the air that you breathe every day has a health impact, right? So I think that the issue is that when you start to get to the why, their arguments that support their ideology begin to fall apart.
Yep. That's right.
Right? It begins to fall apart that, oh, well, this group is superior to that group, or men are superior to women. Things fall apart. Or there are only two biological sexes and there's nothing in between. When you start to look under the hood of that, it falls apart. Like, there's evidence.
And it falls apart real fast too. Let's take a quick break, Doc. We're gonna. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with Dr. Colette Delawalla of Stand Up Y'all for Science. I put y'all in there, but Stand Up for Science. We'll be right back.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Today alone, 5,370 people in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer. That's why Stand Up to Cancer funds and develops the newest and most promising cancer treatments. Stand Up to Cancer wants to provide you with every opportunity to join in this mission. By donating your home, land, or commercial property, you can help Stand Up to Cancer fund innovative cancer research. Stand Up to Cancer makes the process easy, and it may be tax deductible. Visit standuptocancer.org/giveproperty to learn more.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with one of the founders of Stand Up for Science, Dr. Colette Delawalla. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for letting me be a little bit silly in a space that is very serious. But I think that if we can take some energy, some silliness and some positive energy toward the solutions, which is to push back and to stand up for science by standing up to these knuckleheads, I think that we will at least hold the line until we're in a better place from an administrative standpoint, federal administration, to get some things done and back on track. I appreciate the hard work that you've done, and more importantly, how you guys have been fighting. I'm still having some fun with this one, Henry. They do this thing, guys, which is really cool. They got rubber ducks, Talk to us about the rubber ducks in Congress, Dr. Delawalla.
Okay, so I really believe that in a moment where everything is so heavy, like it's so heavy, right? Every day we're bombarded with just really serious, awful things. One of the easiest, best ways to cut through is comedy. Is to cut through in ways that are just so unexpected. And so, we have been really driving to see RFK Jr. removed from office, whether that is impeachment, whether he resigns, whether the White House kicks him out. I don't care. He's got to go. And so we started pressuring members of Congress. Folks can buy a $3 rubber ducky. And I was trying to see if I have any. I don't have any right now, but they're just little tiny rubber ducky. It says "Stand Up for Science" on them. And we hand deliver them in a duck costume to your member of Congress in the House of Representatives. We have had over 7,000 duck deliveries. And we're not graceful about it. We've got a couple videos on YouTube of doing this, and it's just hysterical. I mean, we don't bring them in boxes. We count them out, we carry them in, and then we kind of just plop them down. And people, the poor interns, honestly, it's the interns. They're like, what do we do about this? And it's like, this is a message from your constituents. They want you to get rid of the quack. Right? That's the get rid of the quack, get rid of RFK Jr. And it really, I think it cuts through and it brings a level of all of these people are just so stupid. It's just so freaking stupid.
Yep.
And it's if you're going to be stupid, if you're not going to believe in germ theory, then we're going to make fun of you.
Yep.
It's low hanging fruit.
And it is, and it's shameful that we have people in these roles where they're just not qualified. And maybe they at some point were, going back to Clayton, just not qualified in the moment. Right now, you're not qualified. You disqualified yourself during your hearing, and certainly RFK, you're right. He's got to go. I mean, go do something else, dude. Go work on some, highly funded, right-wing project that you can
think tank.
Right. Go dive in the deep end of a think tank, and maybe you'll bump your head on the, on something and wake up. But, again, I'm with you in this. Impeach and remove RFK. Maha is a threat to public health, without a doubt. Let's talk about
it is, and we're living it. We're living the threat.
Yeah. I mean, we are living it real time. And I was just reminded that Fauci is going to be, Dr. Fauci, no disrespect, Dr. Fauci is going to be testifying in Congress again this week. What are your thoughts about that, and where do you see this going?
I mean, I think that it is such a it's such a witch hunt, right? It's so not with the times. We have an active cyclospora outbreak right now that is running rampant through the country, the entirety of the country. And to be spending time on a hearing with Dr. Fauci when actually we should be doing a hearing with the executives from Taylor Farms. Right? We should be doing a hearing with folks who are, making the next vaccines for flu or pick a thing, right? The idea that we would focus on this when there's a screwworm problem for the first time in decades. To focus on this, it's so unserious. You do not care about making America healthy if you're spending more time questioning Dr. Fauci over prior things that happened when he is retired from public service versus the actual public servants whose job it is to keep our food safe, who are not doing their job, period.
Not even a question.
Send tweet.
Oh, man. Doc, where do the states, in your observation, you and your team's observation, what are the opportunities for the states? We already know that they have been standing there with their arms open, kind of catching all the hell as it rolls downhill from this administration when it comes to science, when it comes to medical, when it comes to technology. What are you guys doing or trying to do to help the states be a little bit more stouted up and able to navigate these crazy waters?
Sure. I will say that I mean, Illinois, like actually you guys are doing a pretty good job. Pritzker is taking public health really seriously. I think diving as deep as state resources allow into super basic public health principles on social media, on, basic press releases and talking to news networks, these kinds of things like really, really matter in a moment like this when we cannot depend on high quality evidence-based information from the federal government. It is the state's job to really step in. Of course, states that have, surplus funds, which there's, 5, can and should be doing what they can to sort of augment in the meantime some of these grants that have been canceled, providing a bit of a backstop to some of the public health monitoring systems that have been sort of swept to the side by the CDC. That is anything that can be done as a backstop. I will say I'm very hopeful. I believe that the damage that is currently being done to the broader scientific ecosystem in the United States is exceptional. It is disastrous. And I believe that America can move fast and build things quickly. And, we've done a lot of that. And there's no reason why we can't rebuild our scientific ecosystem, including our public health systems, in a way that actually works better for everybody in the United States.
This is maybe an opinion as much as it is anything. We were talking earlier about before we went to the break, about what's happened when it comes to how many people are just not prepared and they're not aware, and how they'd rather rely on, a Russell Volt mindset to guide us during this time. I think that a lot of people are looking at this and saying that there's a need to see some more people die and to see people living in dire straits, particularly when he made comments like, we want to see people, he didn't say suffer, but he said traumatized.
Yeah.
And so I think about that, and I look at his interviews, and I love how Representative Rashida Tlaib really kind of put her foot in his backside last week.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me, Dr. Delawalla, that goes, is that what they're really trying to do? Do they really want to see folks pass? They want to see it in turmoil and die?
My hot take is yes. I think that anytime a person is suggesting that social programs that allow for people to access healthcare or like basic needs, anytime you label that as waste, you're saying that those lives are not worth investing in. Mm-hmm. That's what that says. And so I have from the jump said that there is a very strong eugenics flavor with this administration, particularly from Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, RFK Jr. And the reason why is because they fundamentally view people at different levels, right? Like they think that there are people who are superior to other people, and they believe that investing in any person who needs support is wasteful. And so that's that's an action speaking louder than words. Yeah, they're not running around saying, oh, we want to kill off these people to save money at the federal budget. But what they are saying is that if we make this decision to defund this program and people die, so what?
Yeah. You put a more medical spin on that, but I love your quick answer, which was How can folks find you? I can't wait to have you back on again. There's so much to talk about, and there'll probably be another breaking story or item that's coming out of this administration. But how can folks find you, follow you, and get involved with the organization Stand Up for Science?
Yeah, absolutely. So standupforscience.net, all spelled out. Also, Stand Up for Science Foundation. We've got a foundation. We've got an action fund. Head over there, donate, sign up to be a volunteer, get involved with our action center, and you can easily contact your members of Congress, that sort of thing. Right. You can also follow us all over social media. Share with your friends. The more people that are involved in, anybody that is pro-science is welcome in our movement. That is, whether you're a scientist or not, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, like wherever you stand, if you are pro-science, come on down.
There you go. Great to hear that. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Delawalla. It's always great. And follow what she's doing, what the team is doing at Stand Up for Science. Look forward to having you back again soon. Sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, there we go. What can I tell you other than to stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's 4 words no parent should ever hear. Your child is sick. It's 4 words that change everything. Those 4 words can define a family. It's 4 words that are filled with pain, heartache, and grief. And with those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Healing begins with happiness. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to 3 million kids at more than 700 hospitals across the country to deliver happiness when it matters most. Learn more at starlight.org.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Dr. Anthony Fauci is facing questions from Senate Republicans about the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky subpoenaed Fauci to appear before a Senate committee. It's part of his years-long accusations that the now-retired infectious disease expert lied about the COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci has called this preposterous. The deadline has passed for the Trump administration to ask the Supreme Court to reconsider its ruling on birthright citizenship. The AP's Donna Warder has more.
The Trump administration had until Tuesday to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider its June decision, which struck down President Donald Trump's executive order to deny automatic citizenship to children born in the U.S. whose parents are in the country temporarily or illegally. Trump had promised to push for a rehearing shortly after the high court handed him his loss. The White House has not responded to messages seeking comment. Donna Warder, Washington.
Both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praised their separate, closed-door meetings with President Trump yesterday. Netanyahu used the meeting as a chance to smooth out strains in their relationship, with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt describing it as a positive and productive meeting. Zelensky discussed ways for Ukraine to produce its own powerful weapons and other ideas that could help in its ongoing war against Russia. The leaders also attended the late Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral in Washington. Wall Street is mixed before the opening bell, and oil prices jumped more than 4% after Jordan and the U.S. knocked down another Iranian missile barrage launched against American forces in the Middle East. The Federal Reserve is expected to keep its key interest rate unchanged when it meets today. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Mike Hempen. Notre Dame and Ohio State have reached lucrative Jersey Pants sponsorship deals totaling around $30 million. Ohio State has announced a multi-year deal with JP Morgan Chase. Terms were not released, but many outlets report it to be worth $17 million annually. Notre Dame has announced a deal with SoFi Technologies. Multiple reports say it's worth $18 to $20 million a year. Denzel Ward has agreed to a 2-year contract extension with the Cleveland Browns, as we hear from correspondent Dave Ferry.
The AP says the Browns have given Ward a 2-year extension that makes him the NFL's highest paid defensive back. The report says the deal is worth $62.2 million, with $52.3 million guaranteed.
A source says Draymond Green has agreed to a 1-year, $27 million contract to remain with the Golden State Warriors. I'm Mike Hempen, AP Sports.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 65. Thursday, we'll see sunshine, a high around 87 degrees. Friday, a chance for showers and storms, a high of 76. Saturday, chance for rain and storms, high of 75 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 68.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Homeowners, is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted name in Chicagoland for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that make homes more comfortable and energy efficient. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler and improve indoor air quality during the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, from roof repairs and replacements to flat roofs, commercial roofing, and solar panel installation. The right insulation and ventilation can lower energy use, reduce strain on your HVAC system, and help maintain more consistent temperatures throughout your home. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty. Schedule your free insulation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes. Don't let anything keep you from discovering the half of the workforce who are stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's the Stephanie Miller Show.